You think you know yourself.
You really do. You could probably describe yourself in a handful of words right now. Funny, ambitious, a bit anxious, maybe kind, maybe stubborn. You've got this neat little portrait of who you are, tucked away in your mind, like a photograph you've carried in your wallet for years. But what if that photograph isn't you? What if it never was?
Psychologists call it
Your self-concept. It's the collection of beliefs you hold about who you are, what you're like, what you value, what you're capable of. It feels solid, stable, like bedrock. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Your self-concept isn't a discovery. It's a construction. You didn't find yourself, you built yourself. And you built yourself with borrowed materials.
Think about it.
Where did your idea of you actually come from? Did you sit down one day, examine every corner of your mind, and arrive at some objective conclusion? Of course not. You absorbed it from your parents, your friends, your culture. That one teacher who told you that you were clever. That one breakup that made you believe you were unlovable.
Your identity isn't a mirror.
It's a mosaic, and most of the pieces were placed there by other people. So when someone says, "I know who I am," what they really mean is, "I've gotten comfortable with the story I've been told about myself." And that's a very different thing.
Let's go deeper.
Because the machinery that keeps you from knowing yourself is genuinely fascinating. Start with confirmation bias. Your brain doesn't like contradictions. Once you've decided you're a certain kind of person, your mind actively filters reality to confirm that belief. You remember the moments that fit the story. You forget or explain away the ones that don't.
Think you're bad with money?
You'll remember every impulse purchase and conveniently forget the months you were perfectly disciplined. Think you're unlucky in love? You'll catalog every rejection and overlook the people who genuinely wanted to be close to you. Your brain isn't showing you the truth. It's showing you a highlight reel that matches the narrative you've already chosen.
Then there's something called
the introspection illusion. This is the belief that just because you can look inward, you're seeing clearly. You're not. Research consistently shows that people are remarkably poor at identifying the real reasons behind their own decisions, emotions, and behaviors. You think you know why you're angry. You think you know what makes you happy. But most of the time, you're guessing. And you're guessing with confidence, which is the most dangerous kind of guessing there is. Now add social mirrors. From the moment you were born, you've been learning who you are by watching how other people react to you. A baby smiles, and the mother smiles back. A child acts out, and the father withdraws. Over thousands and thousands of these tiny exchanges, you built an identity based not on who you actually are, but on who the world needed you to be. You learned to be the responsible one, or the funny one, or the quiet one. Not because that was your nature, but because that was the role that got you love. And then there's the narrative self. Your brain is a storytelling machine. It takes the chaos of your experience, the random events, the contradictions, the mess, and it weaves them into a coherent story with a main character, you. But the story isn't the truth, it's an edit, a heavily curated edit. And like any good editor, your brain cuts the scenes that don't serve the plot. You are, in a very real sense, living inside a story you wrote without realizing you were writing it.
So what happens when you start to see this?
What happens when the story begins to crack? It's disorienting. That's the honest answer. There's a moment, and maybe you felt it, where you catch yourself mid-sentence, describing yourself to someone, and you think, is that actually true? Or is that just what I've always said?
You look at your career
and wonder whether you chose it, or whether it chose you. You look at your relationships and wonder whether you love these people or whether you just fell into patterns that felt familiar. You look in the mirror, and the person staring back suddenly feels like a stranger wearing your face. Psychologists sometimes call this an identity crisis, but that term makes it sound dramatic, like something that happens once in your 40s. The truth is subtler and more unsettling. Most people are in a low-grade identity crisis for their entire lives. They just don't notice because the story keeps running.
And when you do notice,
There's this vertigo, this free fall. Because if you're not the person you thought you were, then who are you? If the story is fiction, what's left when you put the book down? It can feel like standing at the edge of something vast and dark, like the ground you were standing on was never really ground at all. But here's the thing, that feeling, as uncomfortable as it is, isn't the end of something. It's the beginning.
because the moment you realize you don't fully know yourself,
Is the moment real self-awareness becomes possible. Not the comfortable kind, not the Instagram bio kind, the real kind. The kind that requires you to sit with uncertainty and be okay with it. And there are ways to practice this. Simple ways, though none of them are easy.
mindfulness.
Not as a trend, not as a productivity hack, but as the practice of watching your own thoughts without believing all of them. Noticing when you're telling yourself a story, noticing the gap between what you feel and what you think you should feel.
Journaling.
Not to affirm who you are, but to question it. Write down your beliefs about yourself and then ask, where did this come from? Is this mine, or did I inherit it? When was the last time I actually tested this?
And perhaps most importantly,
Learning to sit with discomfort. Because the moment you feel that itch, that urge to quickly define yourself, to grab onto a label, to say, I'm this kind of person, that's exactly the moment to pause. To let the question stay open a little longer.
you don't need to have yourself figured out.
In fact, the people who are most certain about who they are tend to be the least curious about who they could become. Not knowing yourself isn't a failure, it's an invitation to keep looking, to keep asking, to hold your identity lightly, like something alive and changing, rather than something fixed and finished. The self isn't a destination, it's a direction.
So let me leave you with this.
If everything you believe about yourself turned out to be wrong, every label, every story, every certainty, what would be left? And would you be brave enough to meet it?